This is part 2 of a 3-part tutorial series. We are examining the buildup of an X-Wing helmet kit and a training remote helmet. But more importantly, this tutorial series educates you on modeling and finishing techniques. If you're building the training helmet, take out your mounting blocks and blast shield. If you're building the X-Wing helmet, click on the link provided in the window here. Trim your blast shield as shown, and fine-tune on a belt sander. Use your cutting shears, seen in part 1 of this tutorial, and trim your blast shield. Fine-tune this part on the belt sander. You can trim this to fit and install it as is. Or, you can go even more accurate and curve the edges. To reshape the edges of the shield, you'll need to soften up the plastic and reform it. Use a hot air gun to soften the plastic so that it's malleable enough to bend around a section of pipe. Hold this shape in place for a few seconds while the plastic cools. Once this is cool, curve the furthermost edge backwards so that it lays flatter than the curvature. This will make mounting the shield a bit easier. Insert the blast shield into the helmet and determine the locations for the mounting bricks. If installed properly, the shield can be raised and lowered, and it will hold its position with tension. Once you are satisfied, disassemble your helmet and you're ready for painting. Paint your blast shield and helmet white. Krylon flat white is what I'm using here. Once this is dry, use matte clear to seal the paint, and you're ready now for detail and decals. Start your paint job by using a liner brush to add these details. Once the trim lines are established, drill 2 holes in these locations on each side of this square. Insert the metal stud details and glue from the interior. The decals I'm using here are WATERSLIDE transfers. Cut the decals out separately and trim close to the edges of the graphics. Soak them in water for about a minute, and they're ready to transfer onto the surface. Position each decal in the approximate location and slide the backing off. Use a wet finger to slide the graphic into perfect position. Please note, on curved surfaces such as this helmet, sometimes the decals will not lie completely flat. Solve this issue by using a razor blade to cut down the center of the folds. As the decal dries, the dissected edges may separate, but you can apply a little paint to restore an even color tone. Showing here is a sample of this blending technique on an X-Wing helmet decal. Don't wait more than a few minutes before applying a matte clear sealer over the decals. Apply at least 2 layers of clear coat over the decals. If you don't do this, they can be scratched off and can peel off if you're using masking tape. This is red pinstripe tape available at any auto supply store. Now we're ready to apply the last of the small details. These knobs are placed directly on the decal on each side, and also here on the sides. Clear coat your entire helmet once again to protect the paint job and seal everything together. Now here comes my favorite part, weathering. I use a watered down flat black acrylic paint and cover the helmet and blast shield entirely. In this case, I let the paint cure for 5 to 7 minutes before I started wiping the paint away. This reveals a nicely darkened tone over the base coat. Repeat as necessary until you're happy with the effect. You can stipple on the paint solution like this. Let it cure even longer than the first filtering session, and wipe away to reveal a random weathered tone pattern. The blast shield benefits from darkening the angled lines. It makes the whole shape pop. So use a brush to put a dark faded line on the folds like this. Repeat the stipple weathering technique on the helmet as you see necessary. An airbrush can also be used to add some depth to the weathering, but it's not required. The last step on this helmet is giving it a glossy coat. If you watch the film closely, the helmet has a glossy sheen to it. It's unusual for a weathered helmet to be shiny, but it is in this scene. Don't go crazy with the gloss clear coat. Just put it on sparingly. You're looking for a subtle sheen. Your helmet is complete. Just add some foam or a helmet liner and call it done. The bottom of the helmet is flexible due to the nature of the plastic used in the creation of the shells. It can be flexed open while sliding it on and off. The visor also swings up and down, so you can enjoy this on the shelf or wear it as part of a costume. Thanks for watching. To watch the assembly of this helmet, click on the left link. To watch the conversion of this helmet into an X-Wing pilot helmet, click on the right link. Enjoy!